Daddy's back.
Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back in the yard of streams for another edition of the Smackdown Breakdown, part of Pitts and Sara's wrestling show, where we take no nights off. And obviously you can't have Smackdown Breakdown, Pitts and Sara's wrestling show without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
How are we doing on this fine Saturday?
We are doing. You know?
We're doing.
We're doing.
Been up since 4. All right. And as you can see, we're dressed a lot nicer. So, because we got a little texty text from our number one man, my boy. And we might be going out after this. Who knows? I'm hoping the champ goes out and celebrates because your boy's off the next 2 days, which means I get to rest. I get to watch wrestling and football. Oh, what a time to be alive, sir. What a time. It's a great time for everything.
Okay.
All right. And not only is it a great time to be Patty Pitts, but it's a great time to be a wrestling fan and a Smackdown fan, most importantly, because Smackdown last night has some people talking. It's getting the old IWC all riled up. And after watching it, I fell asleep at the main event. I'm pretty proud of myself that we made it to the main event.
Impressive.
I know, right? I mean, it was that good of a show. And then I go home, sleep a little more, and then watch the main event. Love the ending to the main event, but I'll hold my thoughts on the main event till we get there. So, what are we cooking up, Sara, to start? What's a little appetizer for the show? Oh, we should say hi to people.
Oh, okay.
We got Kingdom Razor here, and he has an individual question for both of us. All right, well, you get it there. We get some commercial breaks. We throw it in there. So get it started. Yes.
Okay. So we saw 2 matches for the first round of the U.S. title number 1 contender tournament for Logan Paul's U.S. championship. We first saw Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar. And I feel like this was I feel like both of these matches were kind of predictable with like who was going to come out the victor. But I would say that it didn't mean that they were bad matches. So we saw Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar. I think it was a good match. Obviously they could have done a lot more, but it got the job done. It made sense for Santos to win because they're going to keep trying to push this guy as a bad guy. And Dragon Lee does face Dominic for the North American Championship on NXT Deadline. So, I mean, it seemed obvious that he was not going to be pushed further in this tournament, and maybe he'll win the North American title. I don't know. We don't know yet. At least when we're recording this, we don't know. But when this is posted, we'll know. So then we moved on to Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross, which was cool for Karrion because he has been like put on TV, taken off TV. Like it's been very up and down. And I was just happy that we got to experience his entrance again, because I do think that he has one of the better entrances and we don't get to see it that much, which is unfortunate. So we got to see Scarlett, which I'm never going to complain about.
We're never going to complain about seeing Scarlett.
Yeah. And I feel like it was a good match. Obviously, I think most of us believed that Bobby Lashley was going to win, but I feel like even if it wasn't obvious, it felt like, given the fact that it was tribute to the troops, that it felt like, they're going to have Bobby win. Like, they're not going to put out this like army veteran and have him lose.
That's that's the one thing that I saw with this. When you have Brad Nessler on the call, who's on the call for the Army Navy game on TV Alpha right now, and then you put out the whole video package of Bobby Lashley, and not only that, you put out a Montez Ford one as well. There was no shot. And that's the thing. Last week, I was thinking to myself, like, Karrion Kross, I haven't seen him on television. he could get the win next week and have Bobby be interfered by Pete Dunne, whatever. As soon as I realized it was tribute to the troops, there was
Mm-hmm.
no shot in hell that Bobby Lashley was losing. On the other side, it's not surprising that Santos won either.
Yeah.
Would you have liked to see Dom screw Dragon Lee over and get involved, or do you like how they finished it?
I think they had to finish it this way because then, like, I would my assumption is that they're not going to have any of the matches end that way because then like they have a complaint basically to be like, well, I didn't really get to finish because so and so interfered and made me lose, you know? Like I know that it's not like that serious, but I kind of like that he didn't do anything because I don't know, like they're going to have a match at NXT anyway. So
Yeah. Okay.
I was kind of okay with it. I didn't really care.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm more. I would have liked to see Dom get involved, but that's because I like the chaos and I do love when they get interfered with and whatnot.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, it made sense for the
Mhm.
show.
Mhm.
And you need to build up Santos more of a heel, and you got to make him this dominant, just killer instinct heel.
Yeah.
And
Well,
having Dom interfere ruins that.
and it's like the added element of Rey Mysterio, I think, is what is makes it feel like, oh, okay, yeah, Santos is more of a bad guy because now it's like Dragon Lee is all like, oh yeah, Rey Mysterio is my hero and he's gonna be in his corner at NXT, and so that's why Dominic is also out there because then it's like this added
Mm-hmm.
element to their match. So yeah, I think it's fine. It, like I said, it kind of it had a purpose and it basically did that, you know.
Yeah, it serves
Um,
purpose.
so then we did see that Bobby wins and he will face off against Santos Escobar. And next week we are going to see Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller will be taking on the mystery NXT superstar, which I love that. I think it makes the most sense because yeah, Grayson is out of these people the one that just came up from NXT. So whoever it is, I'm sure he's probably been in the ring with him multiple times, so it's going to be a good match anyway.
Yeah,
I
I
still
wonder
don't
who
know
it
who it's
is.
going to. I know that's what I'm saying.
I have an instinct or feeling it'd be Tyler Bate.
Yeah, since
That'd be a
there's all
good one.
those that talk of him, they want him to come up to the main roster or whatever.
Yeah, and he's outgrown NXT. He's been there for 7 years if you count NXT UK. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
time to put him on the main roster the way the pendulum is swinging. So
Mm-hmm.
I agree
Yeah.
with that. I like. Nah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not. I'm good. I'm
Okay.
not gonna say it.
And then we get into Cody Rhodes because we saw that he was going to be on SmackDown, and basically the only reason he was there was to become the new John Cena. And I feel like everything has been since he came back
It's
at the Royal Rumble, he is the new John Cena. He is
yeah.
everywhere for no reason. But it's just because of who he is. Like he just does all these things, and it's like, oh, okay, like
He's
you got
awesome.
you got all this pyro for you to just stand in the ring. Okay.
I don't care. Give me
You
all the
did
pyro.
you did this full entrance for you to have an interview at the on the ring or I'm sorry on the ramp. Okay. So basically he only showed up to SmackDown just to like welcome everybody to the show and like pay respect to the troops. And that was essentially it. And so I feel like he's taking on this new role of John Cena. And I feel like it's kind of like I feel like out of all of the people that could possibly be put in that position now, Cody makes the most sense to me. And I feel like he just fits it to a T, which is funny because like for most of his career, he was a heel. And
Mhm.
then he comes and he was never really above a mid carder because they didn't allow him to be above that. So it's just crazy to think that now he's in a position where he's doing all of these appearances and they have him going from brand to brand and he's like doing all this extra promotion and whatever. And it's like, yeah, because like he's the top guy now and he's the one that everybody will want to see on both shows. So they're like,
Yeah.
yep, okay, just send Cody. Just have
And
Cody do it.
the best thing about it is it feels like like he needed that role. I mean, if you watch the American Nightmare
Mm,
documentary, he was pretty much primed for that role. And as you said, you know, the heel element. He started as a heel, and now has became his face, very similar to John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's cool. Like, he's just so cool. And not only is, you know, how he's so for the fans and whatnot on camera, backstage, he's the same way. Like, he is the John C. He wants to take that role and be the
Mm-hmm.
locker room leader. I am all for it. And the way he spoke about Punk at the press conference shows that he's really stepping into that role of being the new John Cena. And it's awesome. Like, the kids need someone like that to look up to. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
think of a better person than Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Well, and then he just shared that video of him. I think it was from a signing today, and like the girl like made some sort of like book for him or something. You can't really tell.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Oh, is this for me?" And she said, "Yeah." And then um he asked her to sign it. And I was like, "Why are you so like
See,
it
it's
just
the
makes
little
I'm like
details.
I have to meet him again because I need to have this moment where I'm like, "Oh, I love you." I need to have that, you know. I just need to be
I
able
want
to
to
say it
dap him
again.
up. I want to dap him up.
Yeah.
That'd be the
I want to
coolest
hug
thing.
him. I just want to be like, "I love you."
He
That's what I
does.
want to do.
I think Cody Rhodes does need to experience a genuine Patty Pitts hug. They're iconic, Sarah.
Well, I'm
If
talking
you
about
didn't know.
me, but not you. So, he's experienced
Yeah,
my hugs, but it's just been a long time.
it's been a
Yeah.
while
Yep, it has
since
been.
I've hugged Cody Rhodes.
Did you want to do we have comments or can I keep going?
We have the Kingdom of Razor is
Oh,
cranking out comments. First time seeing Pitts without a hat. Yeah, we're going out in the town. You know, if any pretty people are out there, my pretty peeps out in South Boston. And then he did say about the individual questions, so we can say this. If you could have Pitts, if you could have any wrestler's voice, past, present, or past or present, when you talked, who would it be? And Sarah, which women's wrestler would you like to most resemble if you were to step in the ring?
you can answer first.
Um,
Hmm.
See, the easy answer to me that sticks out is John Cena because I just like his deep voice
Mhm.
and you can play anywhere.
Mhm.
I mean, it's now on car commercials.
Yep.
He's the guy on the car
It's
commercials.
pretty identifiable, I feel like, too, because like I can be sitting there and I'll not be paying attention to the TV, but I can hear a commercial and I know it's John Cena's voice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. That's my answer.
Who would I their body? Like, which body would I want? Maybe I hate to always say the same, but like, you know, vintage Trish or Kelly. She was always,
Hello,
you know,
hello.
I don't like Kelly, but she had a cute little body, you know. So Summer Rae.
Little hottie with a body.
Summer Rae is pretty too.
Danielle
So
Monet is awesome. My friend
yeah.
used to work with her. And like I don't know.
Oh
I
really?
remember that. Yeah, he used to work with her for forget the name of the like marketing agency or rep like agent. It was like pretty much an agency, like a talent agency, where they sponsored a lot of athletes and models, entertainment people, and he like
Got it.
worked with her. It was pretty cool. Never met her though. Very upset about that. So yeah, those are our answers. What do we got next, Sarah?
We have the divide within Damage Control continues to widen. So we see this backstage segment between all of them, and we already know that Asuka is going to be having a match with Charlotte later in the show, and Bayley is there like just trying to be a part of the group, like, but they want really nothing to do with her, and it's really awkward. And she lets them know that based off of what happened last week, that like she's volunteering herself to stay in the back because she doesn't want to ruin anything. And she apologized to them for what happened last week. And they were just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like they just had no interest in her
They didn't
at
care.
all.
They did not care.
And Dakota basically is being mean to her too, and I don't like it. And I just feel bad for Bailey. So like I said, when we were talking about this last week or whatever, it's like they're doing a really good job about building into making people feel bad for Bailey, like for her eventual face turn. I feel like they're doing a good job because, like, I mean, I don't feel like anyone like super hates Bailey because she was never like a super horrific heel or something, you know what I mean? So it's not like
Like,
there are
yeah,
people that hate her, but I do feel like this pulls at the heartstrings. People can, like, understand being in that position, and so it's easy to then get people to respond, and I think it's going to be huge when Bailey eventually like goes out on her own.
it's so sad. Like when you see that happen,
Mhm.
and to have them be doing it with Bailey, who, yeah, like you put it right. She hasn't been a villain
Yeah.
heel. She's just a dick. Like she's just a jerk,
Yeah,
which
it's like
is
she's a
such.
know-it-all and just like all about her, and yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a vicious villainous heel. It's just a heel that's a dick and only a narcissist, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to have her going through the whole damage control thing where she started the group, like, to give opportunities to EO and Dakota who were released, and you can go into all of that. And then for EO to invite Kyrie and then Asuka, who are two people that Bailey had problems with, and no one, like, the little nuances to the story are adding up so well that you almost have to relate to it with, life. And it's just such a great way to be doing this, because this could go on until, a couple weeks before Mania, to be honest with you.
This is such good shit.
Hell yeah, Vince, it is.
Mhm.
It is good shit.
Mhm.
Like, I'm all for it.
I'm into
Although
it.
what
I'm into it.
they gotta bring back the Bailey buddies if you go for full face. You have to
No,
bring
they
back the
can't.
Bailey.
They're not doing that. She's
At
over that.
least two. No,
No.
but she needs Pyro.
She can have Pyro, but she doesn't need the Bailey buddies. Like
Bailey
she's not
buddy
doing that
Pyro.
anymore.
Bailey, it flows right off the tongue.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we eventually get into Charlotte versus Asuka. And but before that, we see Mia Yim, Zelina, Shotzi, and Bianca attack the other members of Damage Control, which I was like, okay, why are we still doing this? Why are we still doing this? Like, can we please move on from this Bianca Belair led feud with Damage Control? Like, I think that we have exhausted every possible scenario that this story could bring, and I feel like, okay, like, can we move on? Can we do something else?
Yeah.
Can whatever. I mean, I guess, Mia and Zelina getting involved in it is different, but it's not really, because at the end of the day it's all because of Bianca, and it's like no. But anyway, this match, it was whatever. The main thing that we're all talking about is the fact that Charlotte appears to have been significantly injured. And I'm very confused because if you are someone who uses social media, specifically Twitter, I don't know why there are people who think this is a work. Like, it's absolutely not
No,
a
no,
work.
did you see that video? I saw it. That
Of
that
her
leg.
at the after the match, like in the ring.
No, the video of the fall.
Okay, you all, yeah. Oh, on the ropes, yeah, yeah. During the
Yeah.
commercial break, well, because there's people that are trying to say that she hurt herself at 3 different points in the match, and it was like that's not what happened. It was
Y- y-
definitely the
yeah.
because then there's another moment where it looks like it. I don't know if it was the leg on the rope thing. I think that hurt a bit, and then it seems like when they were in the opposite corner, and she did something with her where she had like Asuka hit her knee or something like that. It feels like that made it worse.
Oh,
And
made it
then
worse,
she
100%.
did the bridge, and I was like, "Girl, just stop!" Like, you're now
Yeah.
like stretching. If you like, I mean, the assumption is
Yeah.
that she tore something, just based on, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anything was broken. Just based off of what we saw, it seemed like it could be an ACL tear, or meniscus, something like that. That's what it looked like. And if
Yeah.
that's the case, I'm like, girl, don't do a bridge. Like, don't do a figure 8. Like, don't. Like, I was
No,
sitting there
there's no
because
reason for it.
I didn't watch it until today, so on Saturday, and so I already knew about how she had gotten injured, and so I'm sitting there when she's doing that, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Like,
stop what
yeah,
you're
I'm like,
doing.
you are hurting yourself. So I feel horrible for her, and I'm not a Charlotte fan by any means, but like, we haven't heard anything about the severity of the injury, what the injury is, but the timing is so bad. I always feel bad for any of them when they get hurt in December, January, February. Like,
I know.
Man, I mean, so hopefully we hear about what's going on with her, because it definitely didn't look good. She needed help walking to the back, and she didn't put any weight on her knee. And just given after the match, there's people who had video of her just yelling like, my knee, and she looked like she was like in a lot of pain.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, because when she came,
it doesn't seem good.
Because when she came back from commercial break,
she was like,
see her talking to Lil Nate, Charles Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she is not like that. You can
that's
easily
real.
tell. And they came back with both of them on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
When have you ever seen them come back from commercial break and it just to the two of them laid out?
Well,
and then they didn't show the replay.
Right. I was going to say Cole mentioned that something, unfortunate happened during the commercial break, and they didn't show the replay of it. So I'm like, oh, yep. See, like something.
That's when it happened.
That might have been something that wasn't that bad at first. But then, like I said, the other things that she then did afterwards, I think just like made the whole situation even worse.
Yeah, she went
and I mean, like, I applaud her for trying to continue to go through with the match and like not have it abruptly end there, and like still trying to do what she was supposed to do, or at least do something so that it didn't end so awkwardly. But then at the same time, I'm like, girl, I wish you would have just said, like, I can't, something's off. You know what I mean? Because like, if those are things that made it worse, then, oh man, like, cause it's just so avoidable. Like, you didn't have to do that,
Yeah, you did not have to do it.
Yeah.
The V turning heel, the off-camera botch was bad. I hope Charlotte is okay, and it's just kayfabe, but it didn't look like it. Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, it's not. It's wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
Yeah, I don't feel like there was any indication that it wasn't real, and there was no reason for that to happen anyway. Like, I understand people want it to just be like, no, it's storyline, but like, Charlotte was never like super involved in the Damage Control storyline anyway. That was more Bianca, and she came to Bianca's aid. So it's not like, it doesn't make any sense for them to be like, let's injure Charlotte. Like, why? Like, that to me doesn't make sense. But
it doesn't.
Let's hope that she's okay, because that would be, like I said, really, really sucky timing.
Awful timing. Awful timing.
And then let's get into the bread and butter, I guess, because everybody is talking about CM Punk and how he basically delivered the promo that everyone was hoping he would in his return to Raw. But I still stand by what he did on Raw. I think that it was fine.
He needed to have it. You can't come out guns blazing right away and cut that.
Yeah.
You need to at least introduce yourself first for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. So he comes out there and he lets everybody know, because he is in the ring in the middle of the show, that he has no risk of needing to be shut down or the show is going to end early. So he like welcomes them to participate and chant, and basically that he's going to do whatever he wants. And it's like, okay, that's fine. That's he talks about how he is going to be making the decision of where he's going to sign, whether it is going to be Raw or SmackDown. I would say it's 100% Raw, but that's just my feeling. But he said that he is going to involve the fans in his decision, which I was like, okay, you're really pandering here. But
milking the cow. He is milking that cow.
I mean, I guess you got to do it, right? Like, that's fine.
I mean, get your bag. Ball. He knows ball.
So then he says that he's hints at, and then he eventually says it at the end anyway, that he wants to main event WrestleMania because he has not done that yet. And then throughout his whole promo, he mentions a list of wrestlers. He mentions Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, LA Knight. He shouts out main event Jey Uso, Randy Orton. He says Seth Rollins without saying Seth Rollins' names, calls him a bad apple, and says that he's not even the man in his own household. So they're taking that even further. He says to Roman, don't forget who the OG Paul Heyman guy is, and don't forget he was his wise man first. So they're definitely laying the groundwork for that.
He was not the OG Paul Heyman guy. That's Brock Lesnar.
I know, but if he's just saying it between him and Roman, then it makes sense, I guess. But the one part that I did appreciate that I felt like it went over a lot of people's heads was when he shot. I know, but I feel like you can't say he shot on himself. It seems like it's a shoot, you know what I mean? When he did it, when he shoot on himself, I guess, talking about how Kevin Owens is going around and punching people for no reason, and he was like, "Wow, it's 2023, like you can't be doing that."
Oh, and, it was awesome.
You know, like I'm not a Punk fan, but I was like, okay, that was good, because I'm like, you know, you kind of, again, it's like what we said about his other, when he was talking on Raw, like you kind of have to address these things because wrestling fans are not ignorant anymore. We're all so many people are so in tune with what is going on behind closed doors and whatever because of social media, that if you just kind of don't acknowledge these things, and it's like, okay, but they know, and you can't act like it didn't happen because they know it happened.
Exactly.
So I appreciate that he did that. He did say that he plans on deciding where to sign at Raw. He said that he'll be there on SmackDown. He's going to be on NXT, so he'll be talking to CM Punk. He will be talking to Shawn Michaels at Deadline, and he will make that the ultimate decision on Monday. But he says that he knows that some people are not excited that he is back. Says that he threw a monkey wrench in their future plans and goals, which I was like, that's what I've been saying. But that he plans on finishing what he started, and that is main eventing WrestleMania. I am not going to go into my feelings on that because
why not?
Okay, well, I will say one thing. I've already made my stance clear that I don't think he needs to win the Royal Rumble, which we did see that moment between him and Cody backstage being like, oh, okay, wait, based on what you said out there, you would have to win the Royal Rumble. And Cody's just like, basically like, that's interesting because that's what he needs to do as well. I don't want that at all. But I was arguing with a couple people on Twitter yesterday about this because I said that I don't think that Punk needs to be main eventing Mania. But my main thing is like, I don't have any issue with him facing Seth Rollins at Mania. I have an issue with it being for the title. And I have an issue with deciding that Punk deserves or has to be main eventing WrestleMania in December. I have an issue with that because, like, if we said that last year, who would have main evented night one? If we decided that in December, it wouldn't have been the tag team titles. So like that's the problem that I have. Like, if it makes the most sense come WrestleMania to have, if it is going to be Punk versus Seth in whatever capacity, for the title, not for the title, whatever, if that is the hottest story or one of them, then sure, I'll whatever. If that's going to main event night one, then that's fine. But I think everyone's saying that he deserves it, or that it's like he has to have it over all of these other people. I think that's the part that's ridiculous, because we're also in December, as I said. Like, so much is going to change between now and April. We don't even know who's going to win the Royal Rumble. We don't know what's going to happen in Elimination Chamber. We don't know how they're going to possibly try and set up Cody versus Roman part 2. Like, there's so many unanswered questions at this point. You can't be declaring this guy is automatically going to be in the main event 4 months before the show. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah. It's jumping the shark in a sense to have CM Punk declaring him night 1, night 2, night 4 main eventer, because he just got here. All right. He hasn't even sat down yet, taken off his jacket. He just started. He's not even in a feud with anyone. It's just off name alone that they want to see him in the main event because that's what he got screwed out of when he was here. I get that. And at some point, he should, in his tenure here, I do believe he should main event a WrestleMania. Is it this year? I don't know. I don't want to say anything now because I don't know. I don't want to try to play predictor here.
Yeah.
I like how the product is, I want to be surprised right now. I don't want to be able to predict it right now. And we
Well,
haven't even got to the Royal Rumble.
and I feel like it's like what I've said. It feels like people want to completely abandon the way that Vince did things, and then when this is something that comes up, they jump right back into
Right
like
back.
how Vince would do things. And I'm like, so what do you want then? Like, I understand being used to the way that things were done because they were done for this, the same way for so long, so it's hard to break that mindset. But then when you're saying you appreciate all the change and what Triple H is doing and this and this and that, and then you're then saying, well, I think this is what needs to be done, and it's like such a Vince move. Like, to me, that I'm like, that's, like I said, it's taking steps backwards. Like, you
No,
can't beat
it's Stockholm syndrome. It's
it's
absolute Stockholm syndrome.
it's just ridiculous because it's like I said to one person who was arguing with me the most, and I was saying my main issue is that you can't be saying this 4 months in advance. Wrestling changes from week to week. And because people are like, well, Punk is so hot right now. Listen to the crowds. I'm like, he just returned like 3 weeks ago. Of course it's
Yeah.
going to. I'm not going to say that it's going to die down and it's going to be silent come Mania, but we can't say like, we don't know what direction they're going to take him in. We don't know if he's going to be a good guy, a bad guy. We don't know if he's going to be on Raw or SmackDown, because if he's on SmackDown, if he did go to SmackDown, he's not going to be facing Seth Rollins, like, unless he wins the Rumble. But then we have reason to believe that Cody could win the Rumble, or Sami Zayn, or Gunther. Like, there's so many of these things that could happen or couldn't happen. And yet you're already saying, well, Punk already has to main event night one.
Yeah,
Why?
it's the people who, I said it last episode, they lack the ability to think critically. And I can't help you if you don't want to go there.
I think it's mostly, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think a lot of it are people who are like diehard CM Punk fans, but like diehard WWE CM Punk fans. Because
That's
like,
a cult in itself.
yeah. Well, because I don't see a lot of like AEW people that are like watching WWE product now because Punk is back. But
No, yeah,
it's
pissed.
a lot of those people, and like, I understand you're trying to support your guy, but you also have to realize, like I've been trying to say too, like, the women should also have a chance of possibly main eventing night one. And then people are like, they're not a draw like CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. I'm like, but you don't know. Like, you don't know the story yet. And I'm like, someone said I was being a feminist, like that I was spewing like feminist BS. And I was like, but Becky versus Rhea, that could be a banger.
That shouldn't main event night one, and then you have Roman Cody main event night two.
Well, and that's what we're saying. Well, that's what we're saying right now, right? Because there was an argument last year for it to be Rhea versus Charlotte to main event, and people were pissed that it didn't.
They
right?
could have. And they really could have.
I know they made sure to be like, this was the main event, right? But like, again, that's the thing, is like, you can't predict that, because even on once it's here, once Mania is here, we're still arguing about what should main event and what shouldn't, and
100%.
they couldn't even decide. So it could end up being that a story between Becky and Rhea is better than a story between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. It feels like that can't be at all possible at this point, but that's because we haven't seen anything from Punk or Rollins yet. So it's like, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but I think that people need to understand that there is a significant possibility that we don't see Punk main event Mania this year. It's
okay.
And that's fine. And I get why a main event is such a coveted spot, but I think that we're getting to a point in wrestling where there are I'll say in WWE, there are so many people that deserve to be the main event, and you can't have them all be the main event. Otherwise, like we've said, like, there would be a whole week of Mania just to make sure that these people could main event.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think we kind of need to think about Mania almost being a show of main events. And I feel like that's kind of more how it feels, because and that's why, based on what we saw from Rhea and Charlotte, it did feel like that was a main event. And they had one of the best women's matches of 2023, arguably. So I don't think anyone looks down upon that match because it went on before the main event of night one. You know, it's like
No.
no one's going to remember, oh, yeah, they didn't think about blah, blah, blah. It wasn't the main event. It's like that doesn't make it a worse match. You know what I mean?
No.
So
Agreed.
all I'm saying is there's still time, guys. Wrestling changes, just like life. But
Life
based on
changes.
what Punk said, I'm seeing kind of an interesting response. So, you know, a lot of people are excited because this is basically the promo that they wanted from him on Raw. And then others are feeling like this is a PG version of Punk, that this is a corny like version that he's kind of just like sucking up or whatever. It just doesn't feel genuine to them. And I think part of that is because of, if you are if you are someone who only watches WWE, then your last memory of CM Punk in WWE is just like he was pissed off, like just not happy, and like he was spitting venom like every time he was on the mic. And now you get the complete opposite of it. You get like the cheeky clean, like Cody Rhodes type of promo from him.
Yeah.
And then even when you're looking at what he was doing in AEW, it was kind of the same, or he had more freedom because of the network they're on and the program that they have. So I can see both sides of it, and I feel personally kind of split on how I feel, because I think CM Punk is such a good heel, and that's part of the reason why I never liked him, was because I was like, oh, like he was that type of heel that I couldn't even cheer for him. But I also feel like I understand why it's necessary for him to be acting this like, I don't even know what the word is, like this like cheery or like corny or sucking up, pandering. Like I understand why that is needed right now. So it's like I see both sides.
I do too. I believe it 100% because it is the, I would say, best opportunity Punk's had in his career, where Triple H may not like him, you know, or they personal issues, whatever, but Triple H knows how to run a successful wrestling promotion, and CM Punk knows how to be a top star in said wrestling promotion. And when you have a guy like Triple H who gives his superstars a lot more freedom and voice than Vince did, especially with this new wave going on, I want, like, this is where Punk can really thrive and be the Cody Rhodes coming back. I use Cody Rhodes again because it took, when he said it in the doc, it took him to be Stardust, you know, dashing Cody Rhodes, all this to be who he is now. I see that for Punk. You know, I fully believe in what Cody says.
You have to listen to what Punk said too, where he said, you know, I think it was to MJF, right? Like the grass isn't always greener on the other side, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that Punk realized that in like the most unpredictable but like harshest way. You know, like he thought that everything was going to be amazing over in AEW, and unfortunately that's not what happened. And now that there's a kind of like a big shift in WWE, he's realizing like, oh, what I knew was going to eventually happen because of the infamous promo that we know where he said that Triple H was going to take over, blah, blah, blah. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because of I was speaking about that based on the current emotion that I was, you know, dealing with at that time. So like, to me, this just makes sense. And I think people also need to remember, in a way, he needs to have some sort of humility, because he walked out of WWE.
Oh, 1,000%.
He walked out on fans. He abandoned the fans.
He did. I was livid when that happened, and I knew it was going to happen as soon as he lost the Rumble. I remember it vividly, and I knew it was going to happen, and I blame him for doing it, obviously, because he's the one who took the action and did it, but I also blame Vince as well, and that is why you now see him coming back with Triple H in charge, because Triple H worked with Punk. He shared a locker room with him. And to work for someone that you shared a locker room with means a hell of a lot more than some billion-dollar tycoon of sorts.
Well, and that's why I think that him pandering is kind of like it needs to happen, because fans are very forgiving, obviously. I mean, a lot of them, I think, were upset at first, and maybe they eventually got over it, especially
Yeah, but we
maybe.
get it.
But it's like, that's
Yeah.
why I feel like it's appropriate for Punk to kind of like be the CM Punk that we know and people love, but then also sort of be like a dog with his tail between his legs, because it's like he does have to kind of like suck up to the fans that he may have lost, or the ones that he did upset because of how he just left, and then it was just like, he like did not care about their reaction, like, and how upset some of them were that he left. So to me, it's like, I think that this makes more sense than him coming back, guns blazing, like we've said, and like acting like nothing ever happened or whatever. I feel like this, like, I'm not a Punk fan, and I'm like split, but like there have been moments where I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, this is good,
I'm a lot more of a Punk fan than I realized. Like, a
I told you.
lot more.
I told you this, though. I told you this.
I know, but he's the man. Like, I'm sorry. I don't go full
You don't have
Punky.
to. You don't have to apologize. I knew that you were a big CM Punk fan, so it's like,
It's more for
I knew it before you knew it.
myself, maybe. Yeah, people tend to.
Yeah, I
I
told you this though. But
Look
continuing
in
with
my
CM Punk,
eyes.
and since we talked about Cody Rhodes, I wanted to talk about the little bit of what Punk said about Cody in his promo. And he said, some of us are here wanting to finish their story, but I want to finish what I started. He does talk about how he has some good stories about Cody, and did mention that they are good friends, which I always find like that's so interesting to me, to think about them like being chill, like bros, like back 10 years ago. Like, to me, it's like, that's
It's like
crazy.
finding out that CM Punk and John Cena are actually like good friends backstage.
Or that CM Punk and Kofi Kingston are like BFFs. Like,
that's that's the strangest one of them all.
Yeah, that I've known about forever, but it's still just so funny to me.
Do you think we're gonna get to see a CM New Day?
Oh my god, no. I think back then we could have, but not now. I mean, if you went to a house show, maybe, but like, I don't see Punk doing house shows though, or live shows. Is that what they call them now?
Live events, as they call them.
Anyway, so I felt like we saw what Punk had to say, and I felt like it was kind of calling Cody out. And then we see their interaction backstage where, Cody does welcome him back and whatever. But it feels like this could be a potential setup to them feuding, because we assume that obviously Punk will eventually declare for the Royal Rumble, and him and Cody seem to have their eyes on the same prize, which is main eventing WrestleMania, but both might be looking at Roman Reigns, not just because Cody wants to finish the story and get that championship, but also why wouldn't you want to go for the illustrious like WWE Universal Championship when it's been on the same dude for 3.5 years, So it makes sense that Punk would want to do that. I'm just wondering when this could possibly happen. I would assume it's going to probably, if they have something happen between them at Rumble.
I'm thinking one of them eliminates the other.
Maybe.
Which causes someone to freak out.
Mm-hmm.
I would go more Cody to freak out that he has to finish the story.
I know.
Or something. And then they feud leading up to Chamber. They almost duke it out in the Chamber. And I just, maybe just because I'm a bigger proponent of this, but you get like a one-off match between them. Winner goes to the main event, or winner takes Roman or something. I don't know.
What if it is something like that, right? Like one of them eliminates the other one, and then the other one eliminates the other one from after being eliminated.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
so they're both eliminated, and then whoever wins the Rumble, right? I'm just assuming that Cody's going to be the one that faces Roman, right? If we're going under the assumption, whoever wins the Rumble chooses to go against Seth, so that still leaves the door open for Roman, and then Cody and Punk, maybe it's a one-on-one match, or they're in an elimination chamber match, and whoever wins gets to face Roman at Mania.
I could see that.
That would be pretty cool.
You need them both in the chamber.
That would be sweet. Like, because then it was like I don't know, makes it also adds more to Cody's story, right? Like him being eliminated from the Royal Rumble by CM Punk.
And it's just and the Elimination Chamber having
Yeah.
him go against Punk and then 4 other dudes.
Yeah, it's
That
like
adds to the
yeah, because it's like, how is he going to get to Roman? And then Roman's going to think that he's going to have like a day off from WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Of course he would. But
no one wants to face me. Of course, I'm just gonna go
yeah,
back. Oh
and
no.
then that's a way to like get that feud going even more. You know what I mean? Because then it could be like Punk and Cody, like Solo, Jimmy, and someone else. You know, like
Mhm.
in the Elimination Chamber match. So, because then if one of the Bloodline members win, then it's like they won't face me. You know what I mean? But anyway, I feel like that could be interesting. And it feels like 2 baby faces that could go against each other, where I don't think that anyone would turn on the other. Like even at the Rumble, if they eliminate each other, I don't see anyone getting like turning on Cody or turning on Punk. If anything,
No,
it's
yeah.
like I think that I don't know, that would be interesting, don't you think?
It would be.
And then we move on to the main event. But before we get there, we see Randy Orton. Well, we see early in the show, he was talking to Nick Aldis, and he wasn't too thrilled about partnering with LA Knight. But this is something I wasn't super fond of, because he was saying like, oh, I just found out who LA Knight was like last week. Like I had no idea who he was. And I was like, that's probably not the best way to put a guy over, by acting like you had no idea who he was. Like you weren't watching the product when you were rehabbing, and you don't know who the fastest rising star is of the past year. Like I was like, I don't know about that. I didn't love that.
See, I didn't take it like that.
That's how I took it.
Oh, I took it like I've been doing my own thing, regaining my strength, rehabbing, and I get back and this guy's taking over the spotlight. Like I don't know who he is because I've been on my own. I go the imagination route. I use my imagination with wrestling.
He could also have meant like I've never met him, like I don't know him, like in that way. But I don't know. To me, I was just like, Randy. I don't like that.
Are you burying? Is he?
I know. I was like, you're already doing it. Do you have a golden shovel? What is going on? You took it from John
Cena? Where's your shovel?
Yeah. But Aldis lets him know, like, okay, well, you both have a common enemy right now in the bloodline, so you guys partnering up makes sense, and that's what I want to see. That's what the fans want to see. So it's happening. So we see LA Knight.
The check.
Oh, but
I thought this was I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, it's whatever. I didn't care. So then we see LA Knight and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline, aka Big Jim Uso and Solo Sikoa. And
who boots?
Who did?
Solo. He didn't go barefoot. Yeah, you didn't realize. I didn't realize either until I saw on Twitter.
No, I didn't pay attention, I guess.
Yeah, he wore black boots.
Interesting. Okay. And the tension between Randy and LA is very present in the match. We see LA wasn't exactly happy about Randy tagging himself in, which I was like, okay, they're laying the groundwork for this. Okay. Also, did you notice Jimmy like during the match? Did you see him dancing?
No.
You did not see Jimmy dancing. They literally had the camera on him.
Okay, I may have looked away.
Okay, he was literally doing like
he's like, so unserious. It's amazing.
But it's incredible. So I was like, why was Jimmy dancing? But I'm here for it, because even Randy like mocked it when he was like doing the whatever there. I can't think of the name. The thing between the ropes when he holds the guy between the ropes.
the DDT.
Yes. He like mocked Jimmy before he did it to Jimmy, which I thought was funny. Anyway, obviously Randy and LA Knight win, but it was more tension, okay? Because LA Knight comes in and was about to hit the BFT, but Randy's like, and so he decides that he's gonna hit the RKO, get the pin, and secure the win. And so LA Knight just kind of like stands there and is like looking at him like, and Randy's just like, oh well, we won, like that's what we wanted. And then he goes over and makes sure to raise LA's arm, and they like pose together on the opposite.
It was a classic wrestling finish. It was awesome.
So yeah, but what I'm intrigued. See, this is another reason why I think one of them is either going to face Roman at the Rumble, or I would assume, I guess, the Rumble is what I'm guessing, because they seem to have laid the groundwork there. And it feels like that those two are the most obvious people to face off against Roman at the Rumble, because we were saying like he's only going to be making 2 or 3 appearances between now and the Rumble. So that doesn't really allow for much time to make a new storyline, but he already has a backstory with both of these guys. So that is like, okay, like, even though I don't love Roman just deciding that he's not going to show up for weeks at a time, like at least this way we already have backstories. So it's like, all right, yeah, sure, whatever. We don't need a whole lot more. But I feel like that's probably what's going to end up happening, that we're going to see Randy versus LA Knight and whatever. The problem that I have is that as great as it is for LA to partner with Randy, you know, and out of all the people that he's worked with this year, it's great that he'll have a match against Randy Orton. I don't love the idea of him going against Randy Orton and losing. That's the issue that I have. Because, like, I get it's Randy Orton, but I don't really feel like that's great for LA Knight.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and people have been talking about like his trajectory right now. It just feels kind of like like it just feels like they don't have real plans for him. They don't really know what to do with him right now, so they're kind of just like throwing him and doing whatever. But it does feel like his push isn't as big as it had been, or like the hype isn't as big. And I agree, because part of that is because Roman's not around.
Plateaued.
Yeah, and if it's because he's supposed to be feuding with Roman, it's because Roman's not around. That's the problem. I think that he needs to be against somebody though that like can actually hang, like talking. Roman can't hang conversationally.
Yeah, it's very cinematic script what he's going off of, like in a conversation. It doesn't feel like it feels like it's a promo battle. Like he's good at that, and he's a promo battle in that sense, but he doesn't feel like it's a genuine conversation.
Yeah, he can't do it when it's someone that's not his family. Because he was fine when he would be talking to the Bloodline. Yeah. But when he's actually like those moments between him and LA Knight, cringe.
Yeah, LA Knight kind of chewed him up and spit him out.
Exactly. Because I saw someone say something like, I think it was like Punk. People wanted Punk and Roman, and I was like, "Oh boy, that's not gonna be good."
He would eat him
I'm like, Roman can't do it, guys.
Oh my god!
You just have to accept that.
CM Punk would annihilate him on the mic. Oh my god.
But anyway, so that was SmackDown. But oh wait, we have one more. I forgot. I wanted to talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah, because we didn't get to talk about this the other day. So, Jey Uso, I think it was when he was on, he was on the Bump, I think it was, or he was doing an interview or something. And he was asked about, like, who do you think is going to be, like, the one that dethrones Roman? Like, do you think that it should be or could be a member of the Bloodline? And if so, who do you think it would be? And my boy Jey Uso, and I say my boy like as if I'm like some big fan, but anyway, agrees with me that of all people, he believes that it could be Solo Sikoa. He said that, you know, he does think that he's young and has things to learn, but he feels like he would be a great one to beat Roman. And I just got excited about it because I'm like, I haven't really heard that many other people mention Solo as the one that could potentially take Roman down. Everyone's always been saying J if it's a Bloodline member. So I was really, I thought it said a lot about Jey saying it could be Solo, because he very easily could have said me. You know what I mean? Like one's saying Jimmy, which I feel bad for, but
I do feel bad. But like he's not a tribal chief.
Yeah, it's like it's obvious based on what we've seen in the story. It will be, if it's going to be a Bloodline member and not Cody, then it's going to be Jey or it's going to be Solo. And I just feel like as great as it would be to see Jey, it would just be so cool to see it be Solo.
Solo is the one who pins Roman. That's how you really build up somebody.
That's what I'm saying though, because like, does Jey need that? No, like. Does Jey want to be champion? Of course he does. I'm not saying that, but I'm like,
this is bigger.
Who needs the mega push?
Yeah,
to
this
be
is
put into the upper echelon of wrestling, right? Like, because we've said that we've said that there have been reports or whatever that they want Solo to be like a main top guy, and at this point he really isn't, because he is being held back by being in the bloodline. So what better way than for him to turn on Roman after being by his side, if we're talking about Mania, nearly 2 years, and no one ever thought that Solo of all of them would be the one to turn on Roman. Like,
no. Then that's where that's how you draw them in.
mhm.
That little surprise.
I
I
know.
agree. I like your theory. I just would like to see Jey Uso, because then
I know, but I also
I will
like,
be so
if it was a
hyped.
bloodline member, I'm picking Solo. If it's not a bloodline member, then I feel like Cody, right? Like, I feel like I
Yeah.
don't know if I could handle another Cody loss. And imagine that's how we end night 2 and we're there and we're supposed to just like go home. Like,
And it's fucking Cody.
and then we have to go home, go back to the hotel. Well,
Oh,
and then
you'd
go to
be
Raw.
you would be so sad. And meanwhile, it'd be like the SpongeBob Squidward meme where he's walking with pizza and just like he's so pouty and all that, and just like crusty crap. That's me.
I'd get back to my hotel room and just like call my sister and start sobbing. Like, that's the thing. I don't want to see like, I don't want to see all of that. Like, David was saying that in order for Gunther to become like the longest reigning like ever or something, and not just the modern era of the Intercontinental title, it's like he has to have it until like right before Mania. So it's possible that he'll hold the title until Mania. And I was like,
longest.
I think
thought
that
it
he
was
said something
honky
like the
tonk.
longest ever.
Is it longest combined?
I think it's
Like
like,
combined days?
I hold on, longest
Because that would make sense.
Intercontinental champion reigns. Hold on.
He's the honky
It
tonk
might
man.
be hold on.
Man. I got my blue suede shoes.
Pat. Oh wait, you know what? Let me
Pat
look up
Patterson.
Yeah, no, I know. I let me see. Okay, Shinsuke. Okay, is this for everybody though? Because I don't know. Maybe I read what I thought. David said something about this though. Okay, Gunther's at 455 days.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm confused.
The name that sticks out is Pedro Morales. He was a
Pedro Morales was 424.
oh shit.
And actually, Gunther is
Longest
over 500
combined
now.
days. Longest combined days.
Okay.
Which that would be
longest combined days.
Okay,
it. So there we go. So if that's the case, then Gunther has to remain champion at Mania. And I was saying, I will lose my shit if we are there and the first time that I see Gunther in person, he loses the Intercontinental Championship. I will Brutus Ball down the arena.
Brutus Ball.
Like, I cannot have Gunther lose and Cody lose in the same weekend. I can't. I
don't think I just
I can't
oh my lord. Sorry, you can't be putting this because see, I kind of right now I'm at a good baseline for Mania where I don't have an over obsession fandom with anybody that if they lose I'll be genuinely pissed. I feel that could change obviously. I just don't like if Gunther were to lose and if it would say like Chad Gable, I'd be pumped. You know what I mean? Because it's Chad Gable winning the Intercontinental title. That's awesome. Great story ending. Like you build him up. I get that, but I don't have anyone like if Roman does win, I will be a little peeved. I will be a little bit peeved.
Pedro Morales has 619 combined days.
I knew it. Oh. This
So
is why I'm the goddamn champ, baby. Come on.
I just don't want to see it.
All
I
right,
don't want it.
well, some of the peeps do, Sarah. Some of the peeps
Yep.
do.
I guess.
I
But
guess so.
anyway.
That was Smackdown. Thank you guys for tuning
Oh,
into
we
this
have some
edition.
questions. We have a question.
Ooh, we have a question. We got Kurt Angle's happy birthday, Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah,
Happy
that's right.
55th birthday, Kurt Angle. WWE did upload like some compilation of his best matches. If you would like to watch great wrestling, go watch that. I would like to see them though have Perk Kurt or Perk Angle. What was his
Perk
TNA
Kurt.
nickname? Perk Kurt. Those matches were his TNA run might be one of the most underrated runs in wrestling.
Yeah, because he wasn't feeling pain.
Look at the
That's the
things
thing.
you can do.
Yeah, when you're high out of your mind. Like
It's incredible. It really
Mhm.
is. And Calvin Houston to wrap up the show. What do you guys think is going on with Karrion Kross? I'll let you take this one.
I don't know. I saw someone say that maybe this is just like the extent of what Karrion is going to be, where he's gonna kind of be like a mid-carder that like gets the really cool entrance, but like is the guy that gets pinned. Like he'll have these matches with some big names, and that's as far as it goes. I really don't know. I feel like it kind of reminds me in a way of a lesser version of Baron Corbin, where it felt like they kept trying to do stuff with Baron Corbin. It just like it was never hitting, or if it did, it didn't last long. But obviously Karrion hasn't changed characters as often as Baron did, so
Yeah.
I don't really know. I feel like they never really went full in on anything since his return. Like, you know, we thought it was going to be him versus McIntyre, and then that didn't last, and him versus Nakamura, him versus Rey Mysterio. Like, it was just been like all of these random things that just never really came to fruition. So it's really hard to be like, do they want him around? Do they not want him around? Are they going to push him? Are they not going to push? I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea. It's very confusing.
I can only right now just see him as your SmackDown filler where he needs to face a guy to put him over, and then he gets that win here and there, and we'll maybe get an Intercontinental or U.S. title run. Or I meant U.S. because SmackDown. When that dies down and they have more of a clear picture for it. But other than that, he's just kind of wasting. He's kind of just floating.
Yep, I agree.
So. All right, that does it for us here. Thank you all for tuning into this edition of the SmackDown Breakdown. We'll be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind. We got Deadline tonight. Let's see how that is. CM Punk apparently making his NXT debut. And subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, bell notification, know when we post, not only when our live streams, but when Sara posts one of our clips from these episodes. Go check those out, get those views. 1,300 something subscribers right now, Sara. We're pumping it out. I mean, I wanted to get that at Christmas. We already got it. I'm at
1329.
I mean, we could get to 1375 before Christmas. 1,400 before Christmas would be a great Christmas present for the champ. So help make that happen, and go follow our social media platforms. Links are in the description below. Again, thank you for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah.